When it comes to Hollywood, especially when it comes to horror films in Hollywood, things can be very hit or miss. And when it hits, well, let's just say the horror genre can be an absolute cinematic goldmine for studios. With films like Don't Breathe, Talk to Me, and It Follows, all horror films that cost arguably less than a Disney executive's yearly salary while generating upwards of a 20x return on their own budgets. Well, it's no wonder studios are pumping out scary low-budget films left and right, sending them out to theaters like lottery tickets, hoping that one will eventually bring their accounting department to the promised land. Now, I've touched on the idea of the horror genre being a gold mine, but the other half of this never-ending dichotomy is not such a pretty place to land in. I'm talking about the cinematic graveyard, a place where, well, shitty films go to die, obviously. While it is true that the graveyard is typically reserved for films dumped earlier in the year, in months like January and February, you can always find a smattering of low-budget horror films dumped out the back door like a bag of trash left for the rats throughout the year. Hell, I'd say any horror films dumped before the proper Hollywood summer movie season, and especially before what millennials and Gen Z refer to as spooky season. Lack of confidence from the studio that can be extremely telling of their hand. And speaking of hands... No, not that hand. That was a good hand. I'm talking about this one. That's right. It's Tarot. Nobody's favorite Hollywood horror film based on the age-old tactic of telling the future using playing cards. Get it? The joke is like a hand of cards. Okay, this one wasn't even funnier in my head, and I still left it in the script. I'm sorry. Now, Tarot. Where do we begin? My mission statement with this film: I firmly believe this may have been the first horror film from Hollywood that was written almost completely by AI. And why do I feel this way? Well, sit back, have a drink, and let's do this. So now my rant begins. Now, the film opens up with a group of friends sitting around a campfire on what appears to be a friendcation, a vibecation. I'm pretty sure they use some sort of stupid word to describe what they're doing. Some sort of Gen Z TikTok word to describe what they're doing. If not, maybe that's just in my head. But I digress. This plays out like a absolute Disney scene, or what a Disney executive would think that teenagers talk like around the fire. There's a joke about they're playing a game of point the finger. So they ask a question, and whoever is the most likely to be the subject of that question, like who's going to get married first, or who would fuck their neighbor, or something like that. They all point at that person, and that person has to drink. And it's sort of this played out 2009 Hollywood corporate version of what teenagers should be. And they're supposed to be in college. One of the dudes, two of the dudes look like they're 30. It just, I don't know. None of the characters hit except for one guy. The only character in this film, in this scene, you start to realize right away off the top, there's only one interesting character in this entire movie, and it's goddamn Ned Leeds from Spider-Man. Yeah, it's Jacob Batalon from mostly known from the Spider-Man films, the Sony Marvel Spider-Man films.
It's been an honor, Spider-Man.
What are you doing here? There's a dance.
I'm looking at porn.
He's the standout in this movie right away in the first scene, sitting around the campfire. He's actually funny. All of his scenes are the best scenes in the movie. I'm just going to get that out of the way early. So if you really like him, if you're a big fan of Ned, you might actually like this movie because he's in a lot of it, and he's in a lot of the dialogue scenes, and his scenes are the best. So right off the gate, we have no good characters, basically, for what it's worth. Our main character is a blonde woman who does tarot readings, and this film does not shy away. They get after it with the tarot reading early in this film. It sets up the rest of the film very clearly for what's going to be mostly a predictable story by the numbers. And that's why that's one of the reasons why I think this was written by AI, because it is exactly what you would expect a machine to spit out when you say, give me a horror film about tarot readings where everybody dies based on their readings. Spoiler alert, I just spoiled the film. And guess what? This is probably going to be a spoiler review, which I normally don't do early on in a film's life cycle, but this one didn't have one. That was a good joke, I think. I was off the top as well. If you guys didn't know, a lot of my scripts are written for the intro of my videos, and then I just go on a freaking tear. I go on a rant, okay, with bullet points on my phone. That's how we're doing this. Now, let's get into the tarot reading scene.
Who's going first?
The group of teens, the group of friends that we're introduced to around the campfire go back into the house, the Airbnb that they're staying at for this road trip, vibecation, whatever they're doing, vacation, staycation, whatever Gen Z terminology you want to toss at it. They go into the house right away, and how they get into the tarot reading is very curiously, perfectly, it's happenstance, okay? It's circumstantial. It's just a random occurrence in this house. So here's what happens. I'll break it down. Okay, so they're sitting around the campfire. They have a lot of drinks. They're getting drunk, okay? The film wants wants us to know that. They're getting drunk, okay? Now, one of the characters goes to the fridge and he sees that there's only one beer left. Now, instead of drinking it like a real man or woman, he brings it to the friend group and he says, this is the last beer, guys. And one of the dudes goes, oh, no way. The last beer? How could that be? We just had a bunch of drinks. It's like, did none of you notice the fact that all of your drinks were pretty much gone? Like, how do you not? I don't know. Personally, I've been to a lot of parties and I can tell when the drinks are gone. It's not a surprise to me that the drinks are gone, especially when there's, I don't know, 6, 7 of you maybe. I forget how many characters there are. I think there's 3 dudes, 3 girls, if I'm not mistaken. 6 of them, maybe 7. I think there's 7. I don't know. Can't remember. That's how bad this film was. This is no Avengers team up. All right. So yeah, there's like 7 of them at max. And the one dude can't believe the drinks are gone. And he says it in such a Walmart way that I just knew I was in for a shit show as soon as this scene played out. So the last beer. Now, what do? Instead of, I don't know, ordering an Uber Eats, DoorDash, or simply, I don't know, maybe, sorry, kids do this, go to the store even after they've done some drinking. They decide to search the entire house for booze as if there's like a hidden room that just has a bunch of booze in it. Of course, because that's what every Airbnb has, just a hidden booze room. So they're looking for the hidden booze room in this Airbnb and they come across, or one of the guys comes across a room that is locked and it says do not enter. And he's the bad boy of the group, even though he's like a goody two shoes-esque character. The way he acts and presents himself would be like the straight A, dorm hall monitor student, the RA of a college. Like that's how he presents himself. He doesn't present himself as the bad boy, but yet he's the bad boy. It's super weird. It's not a great character. So anyways, bad boy enters the room, breaks into the room. And what do they find? Well, it's stairs leading to a creepy basement. Of course it is. It's sort of like a Jumanji-esque thing where a group of students get together and find something scary in the basement. But in terms of this movie, it's not a video game. It's magical tarot cards. Seemingly one of the only objects they pick up and play with first. Ned Leeds, Jacob Batalon's character, picks up a box. And what does it happen to be? It's the title of the movie.
Who's next?
Tarot. He picks up a tarot card box right away. So now we're into the plot. We're getting into the thick of it. We're getting into what we were promised: a tarot reading, a haunted tarot reading. So they say, maybe we shouldn't mess with this stuff, blah blah blah. But then one of the girls, the main character girl, Blondie, she says, "Oh, I've done tarot readings," and they're like, "Oh, how did you get all this knowledge? How did you get all this knowledge?" And she's just like, "Well." I taught myself. And it's just like the most cheesy, corny, like, let's buff our main characters. She's a self-made girl who's really good at tarot and just knows all this tarot facts and all these astrology horoscope facts. And let's play her, let's pump her up. This is main character energy. And it's just so cheesy. So I digress. They go upstairs and they start to do the tarot readings. Now, earlier in the movie, we found out that one of the characters, this guy, hopefully he's on screen, doesn't even matter, broke up with the main character girl, but they're still hanging out. They're still all hanging out in a friend group, really intimately. It's really strange. I don't know if I see this a lot in real life. Maybe I'm just not that guy. I don't really hang out with my ex-girlfriend right after we broke up, like drinking and telling stories around a fire with her. That doesn't make any sense. It was just so forced into the movie to have this conflict, which becomes one of the main like conflict resolutions is this boyfriend-girlfriend plot. It's just so forced in there just to have some sort of conflict resolution within the plot that I just needed a beer at this point in the movie. I was actually partaking as well. So I thought it was, fitting that I did it during the script as well. This is a movie I would expect you to go into with 2 beers taped to your hands because you're going to need all the alcohol you can get any enjoyment out of this. Now, let's go back to the tarot reading. I'm going to summarize this so quickly. Everybody gets their tarot cards read and the boyfriend, shocker, doesn't want to get his tarot read by the girlfriend. He's not into that stuff. He thinks it's corny, which it is. And eventually, he allows her to read the tarot. The tarot reading is so goddamn boring that I literally do not remember almost anything they said. But basically everything they said in the tarot cards readings will come true in some sort of roundabout way and become a death scene, a death sequence, a scary, spooky sequence for each of our characters who had their tarot readings done. Okay. So right away, oh, wow, she's just basically predicting the rest of the movie. And spoiler alert, she kind of is. Now there's a few little twists within this movie that are, one of them is actually really fun and they use it as a crutch to end the movie in a way that doesn't suck. And I'll go over that in a bit. But basically, she She reads all their tarots, their horoscopes with tarot cards, and predicts their future deaths without even realizing it. Even though there's this weird plot line where she predicted the death of her mother, or she wanted to change the fate of her mother or something like that when she had cancer, the main character girl, and she kept trying to change the tarot reading, but it didn't work. And so she's been known to like be able to predict death before. I don't know. It's weird. That side plot gets totally lost. So forgive me if I can't explain it, because it's basically missing from the film besides like 2 or 3 lines and like 3 shots from a hospital bed. So there's some bullshit backstory where she did a tarot reading before and her mom died. I don't know. Anyways, right after the tarot reading scene, they leave the mansion, and I believe this happens before the title card, the main tarot. You know those title cards in the middle of movies, or right after the intro scene of a movie, it'll say like, oh, Indiana Jones or Tarot or Inception or whatever it is. Usually films that are not as good kind of have this editing technique. This one being an example. So anyways, right after they leave the mansion and the tarot reading vacation house, one of the tarot readings comes true when they stop at a gas station, and one of our character guys wins a $700 lottery ticket. One of the tarot readings was you will come in on some fortune or something like that, talking about money. So right away, there's our telltale sign. Wow, the tarots are coming true. I would have never guessed in this movie about tarot readings being cursed. So that happens, and they play it up in this scary way where they're sitting in the car and he slams the lottery ticket against the window, and it's a jump scare. By the way, this whole movie is filled with random sounds and jump scares that aren't even scary. They're just placed in there seemingly to stop you from being so bored that you want to leave the movie. To me, they were so annoying that I almost left the movie out of spite, because every 2 minutes there's like some sort of ear-breaking sound, and it's just, I don't know, it's just over-reliant on that, and it's scarily annoying. Anyways, the title card hits right after this, right after they get back from the vacation, and it's like 25 minutes, it's like 20 minutes into the film that the title card hits.
Who's next?
And it just felt so out of place. I was like, is the movie over? Like, I was like, how long we been here? By the way, I sat through 40 minutes of previews, okay? 40 minutes, basically. The movie started on the ticket at 7:15. The movie actually started at 7:55 or something like that. It was between 7:50 and 8 that the movie actually started. 40 minutes of previews. When you have your worst movie showing, you need to get people the fuck out of there as fast as you can. Not milk them for more shitty movies, okay? This was outrageous. 40 fucking minutes, 45 minutes for previews. I'm looking at you, Regal Cinema. Yes, I have your movie pass. It's awesome. But guess what? Can you cut down the trailers, please, because I'm gonna have a goddamn heart attack and I'm gonna piss myself before the movie starts. Anyways, I digress. Title card happens way too deep into the movie, not needed at all. It was sort of just a crutch, an energy burst to remind you of what movie you're watching, because you probably forgot. All right. Honestly, they were like, let's remind them what movie they're watching. They're probably asleep. Boom, title card wakes you up. Disgusting. Anyways, the tarot readings are pretty boring. They all end with a final card that is representing a figure or a monster that's going to come to life off the card and kill each of these characters one by one. Final Destination style. It's like Final Destination meets tarot reading meets dog shit filmmaking. Crazy. Okay, so now we get into the first death scene, guys. And apparently there was a ladder mentioned in the tarot reading, something about climbing a ladder, and a priestess was the final card, or the first girl who had her tarots read. This redhead chick. That honestly, the redhead girl was a solid actor, and they killed her off first. They killed off probably the second best actor in the movie first. This girl should have been the main character of the movie. She just seemed like a way more composed, way more developed actor than the rest of the cast. Maybe besides Jacob, aka Ned Leeds. I'm not calling anybody by their names in this movie because I didn't even remember their names during the movie. So I'm not calling anybody by their names. Sorry, this is not a Timothée Chalamet movie. Call me by your name. There's a joke in there somewhere. All right, forgive me. Anyways, first death scene, ginger girl who doesn't really have a lot of characterization besides, oh, she's the birthday girl. I forgot. The reason why they were celebrating out in the vacation, in the staycation, in the Airbnb was because she was the birthday girl, okay? And let me tell you, I think that she literally says, I'm the birthday girl, and they say, hey, birthday girl, about 10 times, because it's, oh, and I haven't even gotten to the best part about the birthday thing, but it's in my brain. This is the birthday girl. That was her characteristic, birthday girl. That's who she is. Her characterization is birthday girl. She guilt trips the main character, the tarot reader girl, into doing doing the tarot readings because it's my birthday. You have to listen to me. She says that like 5 times. Now we get to probably the funniest death scene in the movie. There's a ladder. She's in the dorm rooms, this college dorm building, and she's at the top, one of the top floors, I think. And there's a ladder to the attic that keeps falling down while she's on the phone with a friend. And she thinks that some of the girls came back early from being out that day and are messing with her. So she puts the ladder back up. It comes back down. It's clearly a spooked, a cursed scenario going on here because the ladder just keeps coming back down on its own. We all know how this goes. So she climbs up to the attic, looks around, and she kind of sees this like priestess monster thing, this like nun looking thing, like scurrying around the attic like a little rat. And it's just hilarious how it's presented. So she gets out of the attic. She's like spooked. She's like, okay, guys, I'm not doing this. When she gets down from the attic, the priestess comes down the ladder, drags her down the hallway, and then beats her with a ladder. And that's the scene. So the tarot readings are just such literal predictions of how they will die that it's so on the nose. It would have played better in a comedy. This movie would have been so much better if it was a comedy. And I think by the end of the movie, the editors realized this. And I'll tell you why at the end of this video that they realized this. Let's keep going. So yeah, first death scene, ginger birthday girl dies by a nun beating her with a ladder. Not kidding. Not kidding. This is where I was like, wow, paint by numbers. This is how the movie is going. Okay. Now I want to circle back to the tarot reading. There is one thing I remember from the tarot reading, and that is that Jacob's character is supposed to come in clutch for his friends. That's like one of the readings is like unexpected help from Jacob from Ned Leeds will be had. So keep that in mind. That's one of the only tarot readings that is really, really heavily affecting the plot, obviously, and also that I remembered. Maybe those are the same reason. But I want to go back as well real quick to the reading to the death of the ginger birthday girl. As she's dying, she's getting a phone call from her friend. Obviously, she's getting smashed by a nun, so she can't answer. And as she's like dying, the phone is over on the floor, and you'll never guess what the ringtone is. Well, she's the birthday girl, and her birthday was probably not even the same day that this is happening on, because her birthday already happened on the vacation, on the Airbnb vibecation staycation trip. Her ringtone is the happy birthday melody. I shit you not. Her ringtone is the happy birthday song. If you didn't know, she was the birthday girl. It is. I don't know any human in real life who changes their ringtone to birthday girl, to happy birthday theme, and leaves it there for multiple days, if they even do it at all. I was like, who is this? Has to be written by an AI that thinks it's clever for using the character theme in a in-scene environment. Oh, we've plugged in the theme of birthday girl into the phone, basically. So like the atmosphere is like, ooh, isn't it ironic? The birthday girl died and she's got a birthday girl ringtone going as she's dying. I'm like, dude, that alone drops the movie from anywhere it was to just dog shit, because there's no good movie where that shit happens. There's just not a good movie where that kind of shit happens, because in good movies, they're written by intelligent people, not artificially. They're written by intelligent humans, and intelligent humans don't write that kind of shit. Okay, they just don't. This was written by an intern who got rejected from A24 as a freaking mail runner, coffee getter. I don't know. Okay, now let's get to the second death, guys. This is who I call Walmart Tom Cruise Jr., because it almost looks like a poor deep fake of Tom Cruise at age 22 at some points in the movie. I was like crossing my eyes, also a little drunk, and getting confused. I was like, are they deep faking Tom Cruise? This guy looks like Tom Cruise got hit by 2 shovels at once. I don't know. It's weird. He's not I wouldn't say he's a bad guy, but he's a bad actor. Okay. And this is his death scene. So he breaks into I don't know. I can't even remember why, but he's walking down the street into this abandoned subway station, and he ends up getting trapped and spooked down there. Like the demon or the spirit is like messing with the lights and is chasing him around. He eventually ends up on the tracks on an abandoned subway car. And before he walks to the car, he looks down and sees a newspaper. And the newspaper says, "Horoscope, you die today." It literally reads, "Horoscope, you die today." That is the amount of subtlety in this movie. Hint, there's no subtlety. I could not believe what I was looking at this point in the film. horoscope, you die today, on a newspaper that he looks down right before he dies. He puts his head out the window and a random subway car just drives by and kills him. I guess the spirit controls the subways now or something. I don't know. I'm not sure why a random subway car would come through an abandoned derelict station. None of it makes sense. None of it makes sense. So yeah, he pokes his head out of an abandoned subway car and gets his head cut off by another subway car, whatever you want to call it. After he reads his horoscope in the newspaper saying you will die. I'm like, this is not even university level of filmmaking. This is high school level C- script writing at best. I'm not even sure it deserves that. I just gave it a fucking F because fuck this shit. Excuse my language. So that's second death. At least we got Walmart Tom Cruise off the screen because god damn, he was the worst actor in the movie. Worst actor in the movie. Ironically, the one that looks the most like one of our best actors. Strange how that works. Now, it was at this point in the movie, guys, that I was kind of considering this more of a Hollywood horror Universal Nights haunted house attraction rather than a film. In fact, I think you'd have more fun going to a Not Scary Farm or a Hollywood Universal Horror Nights than you would watching this film, because at least, you know, those people are trying their ass off to scare you. And in this film, it just seems like an AI wrote bullshit and people were forced to make it for little to no money. So now we get our come to Jesus meeting with all of our characters who realize, okay, not only one of our friends just died, but a second one just died, and both in mysteriously strange ways relating to the readings that the tarots gave, that the tarot reader blondie girl gave. They're like, wow, this is strange. The police aren't going to help us, so we have to take to the streets and do this ourselves. And there's like a point in the movie where they try to maybe make you think that one of the characters is the killer. And honestly, I think that would have been a way better story, even though that's also played out. It just they like frame up the ex-boyfriend, this black dude here. They frame him up next to one of our other characters who's talking about, well, it could be one of us. And they frame up in like the most obvious light the ex-boyfriend character to make you think like, oh, could it be him? But like that never happens. It's just that they did just do this just to have fun, I guess. This is the only part of the movie where I was genuinely thinking like, oh, this could actually get better. No, it doesn't. So what do? Ned Leeds pulls out a laptop and they go investigating online about tarot and horoscope related deaths. They come across a website from what I'm going to call the Tarot Master. The Tarot Master, okay? They visit this old lady's house from a website, and she's apparently this spooky old, master of horoscopes, master of astrology lady, and she tells stories of all of these mysterious deaths from the past relating to tarot cards. There's about I think she goes over 3 different incidents from 3 different periods in time where people had their horoscopes read by tarot cards and then all died, except for one scenario where in London, I believe, there was one person who escaped the tarot reading deaths. And spoiler alert, it's the tarot master lady. It's the website lady, the master of astrology. She reveals she was the only one that was able to escape. Now I don't remember why she escaped. I don't know if they tell us why. It doesn't fucking matter because this is all bullshit anyways. What she does tell us, and what I do know is definitely bullshit or doesn't make sense, at least in the script, is that all of these deaths can be traced back to one thing. The very same wooden box of tarot cards with a zodiac sign on top of it that was used by our main character earlier in the film it contains a cursed spirit that makes the tarot readings come true, basically. And so my question here now to the writers was, apparently this lady was able to identify this box. So it's known that this box was involved in these murders, presumably by her and also police and evidence, crew, people relating to the crime scenes of these deaths. Apparently it is known, somehow it is known that this box was used in all the readings. And I'm wondering, did the box just kind of sprout legs and run from the evidence department? Because if it's known that this box is linked to all these deaths, then at some point the box would be placed into an evidence room, a locker, even if it's not believed that it's cursed. It's just an object that is present within all these crime scenes, within all these crime stories. So how the hell does it keep getting out? How the hell does a box escape jail? I don't know. Listen, I'm getting too crazy with this. I'm thinking too hard. Anyways, that part completely breaks the film, even though it's already a broken film. That part part just really threw me. Now, I don't even know what they gather from this lady outside of the actually, they kind of gather the solution to the plot, because they find out that this box of tarot cards was cursed by an ancient astrologer who predicted the death of a rich guy's daughter and wife. And then the rich guy killed her daughter. And so the ancient astrologer, a different one, not the same lady from the website, an older one, she kills herself and does a blood curse to curse the tarot cards. So now all the readings from the tarot cards are basically cursed readings, and they'll come true if you do a proper tarot reading with these cards. It'll be cursed. You'll die if you get your horoscope done by these cards. So that's how the magic card box came to be, and that becomes our main villain now of the movie, is ancient cursed astrologer spirit who is trapped within the cards, whose vengeful spirit is trapped within the cards. Now, this sounds cool and high concept and all, but it's just executed so poorly, and it's honestly so played out that I just couldn't buy into it. I couldn't. So now they're leaving they're on their way home from the tarot master, and they're on a bridge in a car, and the car stops for some reason. I can't remember. Maybe I was writing notes on my phone at the time. Car stops on the bridge, and all of a sudden a monster is beating up the car. And you can see a graphic on the dashboard that displays where the car's being hit. Kind of like this modern UI. Kind of clever how they used that. Would have been better in a better movie. Anyways, they're being haunted by this monster they're all trapped inside of a car on a bridge. And instead of sticking together and actually seeing what happens, one of the characters whose tarot was that she runs from problems, well, she gets out and runs from the problem after looking at the foggy window, and the monster writes out "run" in a hangman game. You know, the game where there's, a hangman and there's a word underneath with slots for letters, and you're supposed to guess the letter until the hangman dies, or the hangman. I don't exactly remember how it's played. It's like a third grader's game. Anyways, hangman written on the window, "run." So what does she do? She runs. As this film is so obvious, it's unbelievable. She runs and she gets hanged by the hangman from the tarot card, and that's our third tarot related death. Now, after this, the friend group is all spooked out. There's three girls left and two guys left. We have Ned Leeds, ex-boyfriend, blonde tarot lady, and I think these two lesbian chicks. I'm not sure. I think they're lesbian. Doesn't really matter. Or lesbian coded. And what happens is they're walking in the park, and Ned says, "You know what? My problems are going to be solved by me going and sitting alone in my room and leaving the group after we just watched somebody leave the group and die gruesomely." So they just let him go, which, if honestly, friends in real life would have a much bigger fight over this, or would pin the guy down and be like, "You're not fucking leaving, dude. We just watched somebody else leave, follow their destiny, and die." And apparently this was written in his cards too, is that he would leave or something like that. So he leaves. They just let him go because the plot needs to happen. So they let him leave, and he gets in an elevator, and it's so sad because this is probably the scene that I had the most fun with. Of course, it's Jacob Batalon, aka Ned Leeds, and it's his death scene. I put that in air quotes for a reason. This is the most fun sequence in the movie. This is where it kicks up and you're like, hell yeah, where was this creativity the rest of the film? Where was this energy? Where was this atmosphere the rest of the film? He gets into an elevator in his building. He's going home to his roommate, Todd, who will be important later on. And he starts getting spooked by the Jester, which was his final tarot card. And the Jester is such a creative little monster that I felt whoever was in charge of this scene really has a future in horror, because I was like, man, I want to watch a whole movie based on this Jester monster. The way that they use the cinematography and the character body morphing, he does this body morph thing and he flashes into different like shapes with his body, and he changes sizes. He changes like the way his like spine can move is like beyond human, and he just does these strange character movements that make you laugh while being super scared. And so the Jester was actually nice, and Jacob's acting in this scene was the best acting in the movie. You felt like this dude was getting worked in the elevator. That sounds weird, but you know what I mean. You felt scared for this dude. You felt scared with this guy. And I really appreciated this sequence. However, it ends after a jump scare and you never see him die. It seems like he died, but you never see him die. We just kind of move forward with the film. This is where the rest of our crew decides that they have to go back to where it all started. They have to go back to where it all started. And that's never a good idea. According to one of the main characters, is that you never go back to where it started. I think that's what Ned said. I think that's what Jacob Batalon's character said before he left, is like, you never go back to where it started. They defy his logic. They go back to where it started. They go back to the original mansion Airbnb house where they were on vacation for the birthday at the beginning of the movie, where they did the tarot readings. And who do they bring? They bring the tarot master with them. And apparently the tarot master is going to use the cards to, I don't know what, you know what? This is where I started to get a little drunk in the movie. And I just didn't care anymore. The tarot master does a tarot reading. I think she reads, I don't know if she reads her own. Yeah, she reads her own tarot. The tarot master reads her own tarot for some reason, and she pulls a final card of 6 of Swords. So this was the first card that wasn't like a character. It was more of a idea. 6 of Swords. It's a card that has 6 swords on it. And how does she die? Well, the spooky tarot monster that cursed the cards originally comes to life, chases everyone around the mansion, and as they're all trying to get away inside the mansion, at one point, this is the laziest death scene in the entire film. Laziest death scene I've seen almost ever, maybe. She pulls that 6 of Swords cards, everything goes to shit, they start running away from the evil spirit, and randomly, the ex-boyfriend character and the girlfriend, the blondie tarot reader, our main character, are running away downstairs through this hallway, and randomly, the old lady, the tarot master's body drops from out of nowhere with 6 swords stabbed in her. We never see the 6 swords getting stabbed in her. We never see how she dies. She just pulls a 6 of Swords card, and 30 seconds later, she falls from the ceiling with 6 swords in her. It's just so, it is so insulting and so painfully boring that this is where I start to not remember the movie as much. So forgive me. Now there is, I do want to give like nuggets of positivity because this is a negative rant. So I want to keep it a little bit balanced and be honest. There was the scene with the jester that I enjoyed, correct? Right? I said that was a good shining moment. There actually is one more shining moment. And I'm shocked that they didn't at least take advantage of these death scenes more to make the movie interesting because they showed they had potential to. There's one other death scene now that happens next after the 6 swords that actually is very intriguing. While it is the most nonsensical of the deaths, it's the most played out and most intriguing of the deaths as well. There's a point where one of the lesbian ladies gets separated. I think it's this Indian chick. I'm not sure what her nationality is. Doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to give you an identifier so you can know who I'm talking about. She gets into this scenario where she gets haunted by the magician, which was on her final tarot card. She gets haunted by the magician in this room, and the room sort of turns into a horrifying magic show with an full of a dead audience, like of dead spirits, and this evil spirit possessed magician man puts her in a box. And like the way the cinematography was done and the way the acting was done from the evil spirit magician man was very creepy and actually very entertaining. And I wanted this sequence to keep going. I was like, damn, we need more of this kind of creativity. So I feel like whoever was writing the scenes for the jester was also involved in the writing of the scenes for the magician. If there was even a human involved, I'd say there was some good work done here and there in the movie. And one of the pieces of good work was this magician scene. I really enjoyed it. They put her in a box and it ends up sawing, the classic saw your assistant in half joke. They do that, but she actually gets sawed in half. And what's funny is that they don't even really like acknowledge this girl's death. It's like so glossed over, and it felt like they just obligatory had like 2 lines in the script that acknowledged the death of this girl. And I just felt like these weren't real people. They were just actors in this movie. I didn't feel like anyone was a real person in this movie. Not even Jacob, not even Ned Leeds. He was the most interesting and most, fun to watch and probably the best actor in the movie. But even he didn't feel like a real character, real person. So it just takes me out of the movie when actions and consequences in the film don't have an impact like they should. So that's the fourth death. That's the fourth death. I don't know what happened. Maybe I'm missing a death in here. It doesn't even matter. Whatever. But here's where our final act really wraps up. Right after the magician death, the ex-boyfriend character and the tarot reading blondie girlfriend, ex-girlfriend character are the final survivors in the house. And they come to the conclusion that they can use the cards against the spirit. If she uses the cards to do a reading for the ancient cursed spirit, then they can curse the spirit away. They can use they can use the cards and reverse the scenario. And I guess that's a super obvious only solution you'd ever think of. So yeah, makes sense. Get these fucking cards. So they go get these cards, which honestly, I thought they burned. At one point in the movie, they burned the cards. So I don't know where the cards came from. It's so weird, man. I don't understand this movie at all. At one point in the movie, they literally burn these cards in the fire. So I guess they just come back. I don't know. Anyways, she races through the house to find the ancient cursed tarot cards. And she does a reading where she says, your vengeful spirit can be at rest if you just stop living in the past. And she says like this bullshit Hollywood inspirational speech to the vengeful spirit and does the reading, puts the card the final card down. It's death. Your final card is death. And she goes, sometimes death can mean a new beginning, but for you, it just means death. And then boom, tarot thing explodes. There's a whole zodiac sign that lights the fuck up and shit goes crazy. Boom. Our evil villain is put back to the spirit realm or something. And that's how the conflict is resolved. They do a tarot reading against the tarot reader, and pretty paint by numbers. I expected this from the minute that this movie was about tarot cards. I swear. Now let's talk about Ned Leeds. The dude's still in an elevator somewhere, right? He never was shown dying on the scene like the rest of the characters. And so, oh yeah, I do remember what happened to the lesbian chick. The other lesbian chick was the one who got hung by the hangman. So yeah, both lesbians are dead. Anyways, so after the tarot house conflict gets resolved, the cursed spirit is banished. The boyfriend and girlfriend are walking away down the road with no car. Apparently the car is gone. I don't know what happened to the car. There was multiple cars. They don't have a car now, so they're just walking away. I don't know what happened to the cars, guys. Seriously, they had to have had a car there. So they're walking away with no car. And guess who shows up? Guess who was never dead? Yep, it's Ned Leeds. He apparently escaped the elevator. And you'll find out in a second how that happened. It's the last shot of the movie. But before that, the script turns into pure comedy. And this is why I said this movie should have been a satire or a comedy, because it goes so meta. It goes almost fourth wall breaking with the script. And this is why it feels like it's written by AI as well. The boyfriend character, while they're in the car, they get picked up by Ned Leeds. He shows up in a car and picks them up. And that's him fulfilling his prophecy from the tarot. He was supposed to help his friends in a pinch or something. So he does. Saves them from having to walk home. And the boyfriend asks both of them, how do we know this is over? And he should have said, how do we know this movie is over, other characters? And the girlfriend goes, we broke the curse. It's definitely over. Fuck fate. And you're like, basically the last words of this movie are fuck fate. And they talk about how the movie's over because the curse is over. It is so bad. And then here's the twist. I told you the roommate from Ned, aka Todd, the roommate, is going to be important. Well, in the final shot of the movie, you see Ned cowering in fear from the cursed jester spirit in the elevator. And then it opens, and who's there but his roommate, Todd. And Todd closes out the film. Boom, it's over. We have 3 survivors out of 7 characters. And it's supposed to be funny. So the movie ends funny. Like the movie ends as a comedy for more reasons than one. And wow, I can't believe I sat here for an hour and ranted about the movie Tarot. Do I hate myself? I think so. Anyways, guys, this has been an extravagant breakdown of nobody's favorite movie, maybe your favorite movie to make fun of now, Tarot. And I love you guys 3000. I will see you on the next one. I hate myself.